Here I am. Good morning, everybody. I am so happy to be here with you today. I really am happy to be here with you today. And to finish up closing, we did the first session on closing, and that session was about what are the things that people say. In other words, the reason they don't buy, or the reason you even need to have a close, is because people have thwarted intentions, undelivered communications, unfulfilled expectations. And all of those are the only things you have to prepare for, because everything else falls under those categories. So my name is Judy McKee. I'm with McKee Consulting, and today I'm working with the Daily Entrepreneurs. And what I want to do is get you all very, very clear on you have several things to do as either homework or you do it for yourself in order to master the part of the sale that comes right after you say, "Would you like to buy?" And that's important because a lot of people think that the customer is either going to buy automatically, or they are afraid to ask for the sale. "Will you buy today, please?" Or whatever they do, there's a fear. And a lot of sales programs don't teach you the proper way to do it, which is why I call it closing, and I combine handling the objection with that. Because you see, closing happens in a phone call or in a meeting with a client. It happens, I would say, 2/3 of the way in. It's not at the end of the call. And yet it's taught that way a lot, because what's going to happen when you close or when you ask for the order is that the client or the customer is now going to tell you why they don't want to buy it. That's a reality. I say there's an opening, and there's a permission, and there's a discovery, and there's a sales message, and then there's the close. And you say some form of, "Would you like to take that home with you today?" And then the next thing is handle the objection, because that's what's going to happen next. They're going to tell you why they don't have the money, they don't have the time, they don't have the energy, they don't have something. And that's when you have to be prepared to now, in my training class, I call it reclosing. In other words, we're now going to reclose, but before we close again, we're going to handle one of those objections, or maybe several of them. Now, one of the things that we're so new together, we haven't spent a lot of time on it, and we will over the course of this next year, is that if you're really good at discovery, which is the second part of the call after the opener, when you start finding out what they want, or the second part of the meeting where you talk to them and you find out what do they want. If you're really good at that, what will happen is later you won't have any problem at all with the close, because you will already know what they want. And it won't be about what you've got, it'll be about what they want. And this is a shift in thinking. And this is very, very important for you to do. Because if you're thinking, "I've got to sell my product to them," they will feel that and they will resist. So instead of that, what we really want to have happen is that you take advantage of the discovery part of the call, where you find out what it is they want. And then you make every single thing you do throughout the call or the presentation to match up to what they want. So today I'm going to quickly go through the two other ways to handle closing. We talked about emotional need, which is the biggest one. And I did that last week, and that's on YouTube. And this week we're going to do demonstrational, as well as we're going to do the logical way. Because there are some logical people out there. And sometimes we have to treat them, like they matter, and they do. All right, so I will want you to remember that selling is a wonderful thing, that nothing in the world happens without a sale. Nothing. Nothing at all. I don't have 50 people in this session right now because I didn't try to sell it. No. I just I don't know what I did, but I didn't try to sell it. So the minute I would try to sell it, the world would be attracted to coming here, and I would bring them in. Now, you'll notice that I say, will that work for you? Because I will talk about that today, a little bit about trial closing. It's so important that you know how to do a trial close. I personally think trial closes are the way to go. Other people like to use something more direct, but I like trial closes. I like soft skills. I like soft selling. This is what I've made a career out of. Okay? So over the course of this last week, and when we started this, I said there's so many things that you really need to do with your product, and I hope you did some homework on it, where you name your product, you talk about the features and the benefits, and what is the result of the feature, and then the benefit. You know, what is the benefit? Because you will need the benefit. Because when you get to closing, you will have to say what that benefit is, because I never want you to take the risk that your customer will remember what that benefit is. No, I don't want you to ever take the chance. So you will always respond when you are closing. You will always respond with, here's what you get, Mr. Customer. Here are the facts. Here are the results of those product information. This is what you're going to get. And when you get that thing that you get, this is what it does for you. It's going to make you feel better, look better, smile more, feel healthier, be full of energy, be certain. You will have a guarantee. You will know that you will have safety. You will make money. You will get more money. You will be the joy of your own life, and what will happen is you will have peace of mind. That's what everyone wants. Everything for everything is for peace of mind. So if you can get it into your conversation, it would be really smart. And don't brush by it easily either. Say it with clarity, peace of mind, so that they hear you and get it. So there is some homework. If you haven't done it before, you should do it now. And that is where you sit down and say, how does your product do all these things for the customer? Start to look at your own product and service as something that is good for the customer. And since it's going to cost them $700 or some number that you have, this is what you're going to get. If you would like me to send you a copy of these, in fact, I'll just do it. I'll send you over a copy of this so that you can really study it a little bit. Take a little time, because you are worth it, and so is your customer. And when you do, you're going to be preparing for those three things that we mentioned on session 1: the unfulfilled expectation, the thwarted intention, or an undelivered communication. And we've talked a lot about how the hardest one is undelivered communication. That's when your client or your prospective customer doesn't tell you what they really want. As time goes by, as you get trained more and more by me or by whomever you go to get trained by, the safer you can make it, the more likely your customer is to give you the information that you need to close with. As safe, if you can make it really safe for them to speak, that you do not use any scheme or tricks after they do tell you the truth for them, then you will sell more and more and more. The safe environment is the most important part. The safe environment. It is more important than anything else you do when you're talking to a client, that you make sure that they get it, that they are safe. Now, last week we talked about what are the things that have to happen when you're closing. And I said you have to find and fix the emotional need. And you're going to find and fix any need they have, but the emotional need is the most important, the one that is the biggest. People buy almost everything they do in life. They buy it for some emotional need. The only time I would say that would be different is if you're selling software to a techie. In that case, the techie might like might not care anything about being emotional about it. But I will tell you that even that techie, in the long run, wants to sell his software or buy your software for peace of mind, so he knows he's done the right thing and he gets to be right about it. But why I put this slide back up in review is because I want you to remember those words: feel, felt, found. In the olden days, that was taught. In the 50s, it was taught. It was taught by my trainer. It was the only thing that I actually took and loved out of all the training that I got as a salesperson, because it was a good it was a good trick, really, because if someone said, I don't want to buy that house, I could say, I understand how you feel. You know, the last client that came through here felt the same way, but what they found was that because it has a big yard and a fireplace and whatever, it was really worth the money. So why don't you maybe you should just make them an offer with some amount of money that you could afford. Would that work for you? Feel, felt, found. I loved it. I didn't understand it deeply until I started training it. And today, if you met an old guy like me and you said, I understand how you feel, Judy. I had a client yesterday who felt the same way. And what they found was, I would know that you used that technique on me. The thing about the technique is, and the reason I want you to remember it, is I don't exactly want you to remember to say, feel, felt, and found. But I do want you to understand what it means. The feel part is empathy. The felt part is agreement. And the found part is your answer. And then you just add to that the trial close question, where you say, will that work for you as well? And in the olden days, I had a slide. You get a kick out of this one. I pulled this out of the archives. That's what I used to use in my session. I don't want you actually to use the words feel, felt, found in that methodology. I don't have enough money. Hey, I understand how you feel. You know, many people felt the same way about the price, but what they found is they got two for the price of one. You know, I mean, I could make up all kinds of things that would go with feel, felt, found. But this is what you're really doing. You're having empathy, identify with the experience of the other person. They want agreement. They want to know they're not being conned. They're not being fooled. And there's an answer. And the answer that resolves their issue, which is why if you're not listening up in the front of the conversation or the meeting, if you didn't discover what they want, you'll have a problem here. You'll now have to pitch yourself rather than pitch their need. So feel, felt, found, I found myself throughout the years that if I teach this way, all of my students can remember those words. So when the customer says, oh, I can't afford that, then they can say, in their mind, they get to trigger, feel, felt, found, feel, felt, found, feel, felt, found. Now, you might not use the words. You might instead say something like, you know, I understand exactly what you mean. Money is so important, and the way you spend it these days is very important, because you will need money in the long run to run your business, to be successful, to eat, to pay your rent. We get that. And at the same time, what most of our clients find is they now have energy they never had before. They now have a feeling of good health. They wake up in the morning chipper and enthused to begin the day. And when they can have that kind of feeling, they know that they can get their job done. They will have time with their families that's going to be enjoyable for them. And then I would ask the closing question. So will that kind of result work for you as well? Okay, so that's how feel, felt, found works. Now I'm going to tell you the next one. Now this is what I call the hard way. You know, when you're playing in Las Vegas and you roll the dice. You know, if you want to roll an 8, but you say, I want to roll it the hard way, that's 2 4s. I happen to know that because I just love to gamble. But I do love craps. That's my favorite game. And so one day I decided to call this the hard way, because it is the hard way. It's and why it's the hard way is you can make a mistake with this, in that this is used by a lot of con artists. Sincerely, they use this close. I don't want you to con anyone. I want you to be wonderful to everyone. But here's why a con man would use this system. It's called If I Could Show You a Way. And most cons, or people who want to trick their client, they would say, if I could show you a way to get the car payments down to $300 a month, would you buy? Now, the problem with that is they didn't tell the customer how they were going to get it down to $300 a month. But yet they conned the customer into saying yes to that. They didn't mention they were going to add 2 years of payments onto that car. And that is why people just hate to hear the con. If I could show you a way to take this training home today and make $1 million, would you do it? You see, there are ways and ways to say things. So what I want you to notice is that the word if, when answered, makes this a promise. If I could show you a way, you have now promised your customer or prospective customer to give them the answer. Now, the difference between the con artist and you is that you will tell them how. Put that in big letters in your notes. You will tell your client or prospective client how to save that money, how to do it. So if I were going to be a straight person and I was selling a car and I said, so would you like to take that car home today? And they say, oh no, I can't afford payments like, $400 a month. Then I could say, well, if I could show you a way to get the car payments down to $300 a month by adding a few months on to the end of your contract, would you reconsider? So now you can see the difference between conning and giving your customer the information that the customer needs to make a decision. Remember, I said that before. Always give your customer the information that customer needs in order to make a decision. If you don't give them the information they need to make a decision, then you are withholding information. You have a hidden agenda. You are not creating the thing that they really want, which is someone who they can trust. And that's called the hard way. And that you need to practice it. You need to write out your scripts. You need to write out, what are you going to say? So if they say, I don't have the money, if they say, I don't have the time, if they say, I didn't expect it to cost that much, if they say, what are you going to give me for that much money? You need to be prepared. The way to be prepared, well, the way I used to do it, is I would write out my script. But then I would read it a couple of times and memorize the darn thing. I mean, I love selling, so it didn't bother me at all. And if I made a mistake, if the customer or prospective customer gave me attitude or a face, or a tone, then I would know it was me who had made the mistake. It was me who had not filled their emotional need. It was me who didn't demonstrate clearly what they would get. It was me who did not give them the full benefit so that they could know what they would get when they are finished. Very, very important. All right, that's the hard way. Now, the last one is what we call the logical way. All right. Now, I want to be really clear about this. I want you to get something. I want you to learn this lesson in 2 minutes instead of 2 years. There are only 14% of the world who are logical. And I'll say that for you one more time because I want you to see the importance of this. 14% of the world deal with things from the point of logic. Now, what I find interesting about my career is I seem to attract those logical people, and they want me to train them. and they want to train me. They want me to train them and be logical. But here's what I want you to get. 86% of the world are not buying logically. They aren't. It's proven. And it's proven by people like Bill Bonstetter and Emotional Intelligence Leadership and Stephen Covey. I mean, you name anybody, Wayne Dyer, I don't care who it is, but they will tell you, and it is true, and it is out of my experience, I'm telling you this, people buy things for their reasons, not yours, and they're almost always emotional. So if you're not trying to sell emotionally, but you're trying to sell on logic, you have cut your own odds down by a whole lot. Now, I, of course, am an emotional person. That's my beingness, that's how I am. So for me, the emotional part is pretty easy, and the logical part is very hard. Now, I don't know your personality style, as I haven't taken your personality profile yet, but I will tell you this. If you are an emotional person, or if you want to show or to demonstrate and work on the logical close, yet you don't want to have to, give them a white paper to prove that you know what you're talking about, then I suggest you practice this logical close. This is a skill. It takes a while to learn it, but it's it's a wonderful thing to have in your pocket, that you could know how to do this, all right? And so the way that I've done it, instead of, say, taking out the evidence, writing a white paper, proving the interesting part and the what do you call them? The odds of, if you do my training, how many sales you're going to make. People call me in the early days. They don't call me now about this, but in the early days, they would call and say, well, how many lessons would it take before I can really produce some numbers? Or whatever. They had a million questions. They wanted some logic on that. They wanted to see, if I pay you $50 to take this class, when will I recover my money? Or how long does it take to sell on a phone call? I mean, really, they would ask questions like that. And of course, I never make my client wrong or stupid, so I would have to say something nice to them. But what I finally figured out is that if I were going to have to use logic, I would also use information in the logical close that I could speak easily and quickly without it sounding like I was going to go get the white paper on why smoking is bad for you in 32 pages or more. So here's what I learned to say. Customer says, I don't have enough money, but you feel with this person, is that they want you to prove that your product is worth it. You think they are logical and that they are looking at the numbers. So if they are looking at the numbers, then this is how you deal with it. You say, well, Mr. Customer, let me give you, now by the way, I use my own gut level here. I use my own gut here. I can't tell you how to do this and make sure that you do it my way. That's not important. If I think I've got somebody who really wants to buy, and they need a good logical reason to buy, then I'm going to use one. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, Mr. Customer, let me give you one good reason you should go through my training. This service will make it so easy for you to do X. And by the way, that X is what I discovered in the discovery part of this conversation. And then I will say, wouldn't that be what you want as well? Or isn't that going to work for you? Would that work for you? How would that work for you? Trial close. Now, if it seems to be a particularly analytical personality that I'm speaking to, I might say, Mr. Customer, get a pencil, take notes, because I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you should place that order for this today. And reason number one is, I don't, by the way, wait for them to approve. I immediately go to reason number one, reason number two, and reason number three. And then I say, would any of those solutions work for you? And the reason I do it that way is because I know they want a backup. Now, in my case, and I don't know what businesses you're all in, assuming you all have different types of businesses that are listening to this. In my case, I'm sometimes talking to the person who might make the decision that they would like to have the training, but they might not have the key to the money box. They are not going to be making the decision on how much money they are willing to spend, and they need evidence to take to their boss. In other words, I meet a lot of sales managers throughout the years and leads at directors of customer service call centers, things like that. They want the training, but they don't pay my bill. So they need reasons. And when I realize that, the moment I realize that, I'm giving them 3 reasons, and they're going to be solid. And I might even say something. I won't be as casual about it as I was with you a minute ago, but I will say, why don't you write this down? Because I'm going to give you 3 good reasons that you can take to the boss. And you can tell him those 3 reasons are going to make a difference in the whole call center. Okay? And they would say, okay, great. And they get out their pencil and start writing notes. Now I'm going to cover them because I'm even going to give them a proposal after, and it's going to have everything outlined. But they want to feel what? Safe. They want to be secure. They want to look good. They want to feel good. They want to be smart and right. And so I'm going to do everything I can in my power to make them feel like they did the right thing to pick me. So I might say this new service will make it easy for you to blank. Or this product can save you money by blank, whatever it is you have. Or, you know what, you could take advantage of the savings right now. No waiting, immediately. So I make that choice. I might say I'm going to give you 2 good reasons. I might say I'm going to give you 1 good reason. Now, sometimes if I'm talking to a salesperson, now maybe you're not selling to other salespeople, but when I have a salesperson, and I know I have a salesperson, you would use money. And I would say, let me give you 1 good reason. $10,000 a week. In other words, their people are going to make $10,000 a week. I sold Spokio a training that way. Their director said, well, what would that mean to me? And I did a little math right there. I said, well, if you save this many people every month, let me give you 1 good reason you should do this training. $600,000 a month. That's what. And he went, sold. So you see, you have to pick what's good for you, really. You do. You have to make that choice. All right? Whew, that's pretty good. All right, now I just want to go over a couple of things here. Remember, people want to look good and feel good. Don't ever forget that you're going to want to do that. That people want to save time and make time, so it better be in the way that you write out your close. That's what they want. This can save you so much time. This will give you time. This will make you money. What are the benefits? Be sure they're there. Don't make a mistake and leave it out. Leave it in. If it's going to give them energy and make them feel good and full of joy because they feel so energetic, you better say so. And if it's going to give them safety and security and keep them happy, and they have guarantees and warranties, they will love that. And ultimately, of course, they want peace of mind. Okay? So I want you to take that home with you. That's all for today. I'm going to end the video, and then I still want to talk to those students who are still in the room. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Come back, go back to YouTube, subscribe, Tell your friends because I'm too lazy to advertise. Okay, I will. I'll start. All right, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I am now going to stop the recording. Have a great day. Go close a whole bunch of sales. Why not?